Welcome back to Ground Up with Natalie, where your curious mind will go on a journey to learn something new. I guarantee you'll leave this episode motivated to take action on something that inspires you, big or small. So enjoy the listen and stay for a while. Follow us. Today we have Shannon Sturges on, who is one of LA's premier acting coaches. She coaches hundreds of actors yearly and some of the biggest actors on movie sets and TV sets. So I got the chance to pick her brain about all things performance-based. I talk a lot about the business side of acting and how to get agents and managers, but we talked a lot about breaking down your character, the scene, what to do in an audition, what not to do in an audition, the casting director's perspective. Like, she's casted some things, so she talks about getting 1,500 submissions for something that she cast recently and how she went about that and what a bunch of the actors did and what the actors who booked did differently. So there's some really cool gems in this episode. So get out your pen and paper and give it a listen. Today I'm so excited because we have a renowned LA acting coach, Shannon Sturges, who is also an actress but has been coaching for how many years now?
Oh, I've been coaching for 15, 20 years now.
Wow,
Yeah.
Some of the most incredible actors. And so I'm so excited to have you on today. But we start every episode with 3 questions, and they're kind of hard, so I'm sorry. But where are you from?
I'm from Ventura, California.
Born and raised here.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, born at Hollywood Community Hospital, no longer exists.
Wow, I was born in Whittier, so
Oh,
not far
close.
off. Yeah. Okay, what was your first dream job? Like when you were little?
It was to be an actor, or more specifically, I think I wanted to be a singer at night and a doctor during the day.
I love that.
Yes, I can't sing. And I've played a doctor on TV, so there you go.
So you got a little bit of it. Have you
Yeah.
ever played a singer on TV?
No,
I
nobody
cannot
wants
sing
that.
at all.
Yeah.
I'm a single threat, dance or sing. I'm just like, okay, I can memorize lines and like give you what you need, and that's it.
Right. I'm so in awe of those who can, but no. I had to sing for a role once, and I remember the teacher was like, "It's not a terribly unpleasant sound."
Thank you.
Wow.
That's nice for a 20-something or 30-something to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, and what was your first job? Like when you're 16 or whatever, whenever that was?
I worked at a girls' club. I was 13, and I would teach dancing and cooking and sewing and arts and crafts. It was a great job.
So you've always kind of been a teacher. It was like in
I
you.
guess so. Yeah. I never expected. I don't act anymore. I'm only a teacher.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I have so many questions. I was telling you offline that I love talking about the business side of acting, and I mentor some people if they need help on like how to get an agent or a manager or like pitch emails and all that sort of stuff. And so I've gotten so many questions about different things, whether it's networking or social media. But I wanted to first start off by diving into like acting and the art of it and diving into fear. I kind of want to talk a little bit about fear. And people always talk about that. Actors talk about that. You hear videos of Will Ferrell being like, you got to get scared before you can, dive into a role. But what does that mean? What does it mean to dive into the uncertainty when you're auditioning for something? Like versus being safe?
Well, I think actors always want to be safe. And I love actors so much, right? They're so giving. They want to always give the person what they want. I want to give the casting director what they want. I want to give the director what I think they want. I want to give the writer what I think they want. And they don't say, what do I want? Or even better, what does the character want? How can I serve the character? And so it's scary. It's scary to go out there and say, I don't care what I think they want. First of all, they don't know what they want, but it takes a lifetime to learn that one. To just do what you want. And also, great acting is vulnerable. It's so vulnerable. I do this gesture where it's like you're opening up and you're taking off your clothes, right? If they don't like you, you can say they don't like the character or whatever, but it's really a rejection of you is how it feels, even though that's not what it is. But so it's such vulnerability, and it's being able to step in, as Brené Brown says, step into the arena. Actually, I guess that was Roosevelt. But anyway, over and over again, to be beaten down, and say, and still love it and still enjoy what it is that you do.
Yeah. Gosh, I always am wondering what the casting director wants.
It doesn't matter.
I've gone on 500 auditions and still I'm like, okay, but this is the character breakdown. This is the description. So I have to live in the world of it, obviously, but I also try to play to what I think the casting director wants.
But also, did the casting director write that character description?
No, tell us, Shannon.
Right?
Who did?
I don't know. Somebody at Breakdown Services, perhaps.
Wow.
Maybe taken from. So, casting directors are amazing, right? I mean, at my studio, I'm producing 3 short films from my students. So we had this great contest. They had to write it. They have to star in it. Or they didn't have to star in it. They just have to have a part in it. And one of the roles went out, and we got 1,500 submissions for one part.
No way.
One gorgeous woman. 1,500.
That's actually some insider knowledge right there. That's crazy. I'm shocked.
For a little short. And
union or non-union?
Non-union. Wow. I mean, I think it's might be micro budget, but we're open to union and non-union actors. And so many fantastic actors auditioned. So many. But the ones that I could see, if they didn't give us something that we wanted, then we'd ask for it. Mm-hmm. Right? So I have very strong feelings about, it robs you of all of your agency as an actor when you look at it and it says, oh, she cries. So then you feel like you have to cry. You don't. The worst, right? Flirty. Those things are written for people who are reading it at like the network level or the studio executive level, because they don't see 2 young people together chatting. If they saw 2 young people together chatting, it just kind of naturally becomes flirtatious, right? So they write that in there so people understand. So now all of a sudden actors are like, oh, they want it flirty. So now I've got to be extra flirty. And it's like, oh, no, ignore all of that. Follow your own instinct. Most actors are so wonderfully intuitive. And so, again, you're trying to please everyone else. And that's, I think, what a lot of actors are, is wonderful people pleasers. And if they can just turn it around maybe and please the character, if they can't do it just for themselves, and if the casting director, they want something else, they'll ask you for it. When we were casting, I would give notes sometimes to some of the actors just because I wanted to see them do it again. They were so talented. And now there's a lot of actors who could have totally done the part. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to have to call some of them up and say, we went another way.
You have to
being
pick
on
one.
that side.
Yeah.
Only one actor out of 1,500 can get it.
Wow. It's only 5 minutes in and I'm like, I've learned so much already.
I know.
I love it.
Good.
It's also just a good reminder, right? Because I've heard this before. I mean, not so eloquently and like well put together and inspiring, but you just forget, I guess, and you get that audition in your email and you're like excited to do it, and you go and you start memorizing or doing the work and reading the script, whatever, and then you go to do it and you're like, shoot, but this is my one audition this week or this month. Like, I really want to book this, and I think that I know, okay, it's CW, okay, it's this casting director, it's this show. You are kind of know kind of what they're looking for, and you're like, so I'm going to play it this way. But the reality is every other actor is going to play it that same exact way. And so on top of going into it and not being a people pleaser, you're also going into it to stand out and be like, okay, how can I do this, like you're saying, for myself and have fun? And then they're going to look at it and go, whoa, hold on, pause, go back to this girl, like she did something different.
And it's and never doing something different just to do something different, right? You could, be ridiculous that way, but not worrying about, oh, I know that they want her to, it said in the breakdown, she's aloof. And so all the actresses walk in and they're so aloof. And it's like, no, trust me, what they need, they see you, they see what you're doing, and then they go, great, can we do another take where you're a little more aloof?
Yeah.
And then you say yes.
Yes.
Of course you can.
So read the breakdown, read the script, read your sides, and then put the breakdown away and put everything else, you already have it in you. You know what's going on. Your intuition took over at that point because you've read the script. You made up your own mind of how you think you want this to go. You've done your notes, everything like that. And then.
Yeah, your work. I had an actor once and he was going in for something and it said yuppie on it, right? And so he wanted to do the sweater over the, and I'm reading the sides and there wasn't anything yuppie in there. I said, if anything, he seems really kind of like groovy hipster, right? I see him more with a scarf and some beaded bracelets but you do you. What is it that you want to do? And he walked in and everybody was dressed yuppie and he was the only one that was different and he got it.
Wow.
But it was more that it was just, he found his own character. And trust me, again, they could have said, great, can you, if you're not in the running, one of the actresses that we had read, one of the actresses from our studio is a fantastic actress. And it's like, oh, should we call her back? She's just not right for it.
Period.
It's like, no, why waste their time?
Yeah.
She's not going to be really excited to have a callback for something she's not going to get. It's a waste of her time. She's brilliant, but she's not right.
Yeah, God. Just to know that, even because I take it so personal,
I know.
and it's just not the case. I had an audition that I got a call back for almost instantly, and
that's a win.
yeah, totally. And I say instantly because like it mattered. Like the casting director reached out right to my agent, and there's a relationship there, and I've gone in for them many times, and she was like, wow, we love Natalie for this, and it's a show that I love and stuff, and so I'm all excited. My agent's excited, and it was just a callback, but it was a Zoom. I get on, and the showrunner's on the call and everything, and we do it one time, and I'm just like, my heart's broken because if anything, that doesn't mean that you didn't get it, and I'm totally aware of that, but I get so excited. You just want to do it more than once and play. And also you're kind of in that session to see if you can be directed. You know what I mean? And so if they're not directing you, it's like, well, are you really?
Maybe they found their person.
Yeah, or whatever. But come to find out that, my agent's just like, they really wanted just way more awkward. And, quote unquote, you're too pretty for the role and stuff. And my girlfriend and I, one of my best friends and I were talking about it. And I say, tell me that. I could be not awkward. I could be awkward. And I could, I don't care. I'll mess up my hair. But the reality is, I just wasn't the girl. And that's okay.
There was somebody else. There was that awkward girl who's like, finally,
innately
I get a part.
awkward. Yeah, exactly. And do I want to be on a whole season where I'm like, just not this person a little bit or whatever and feel uncomfortable? So.
And when I was acting, I decided anytime I didn't get anything, it was because I was too young and too pretty.
I love it.
I just decided
that's the motto.
Even as I got older and older, I was too young and too pretty,
Yep.
Because you got it. Oftentimes, I always encourage actors to not ask for feedback.
Yeah.
Because what are they going to say? It wasn't you. And if they're forced to come up with something, then they're going to be insulting. It's not, if there's a casting director who likes you, and there's constructive criticism, it will find its way to you, right?
I couldn't agree more.
Don't say your height unless we ask you.
Mm-hmm.
I saw somebody do that the other day. I was like, oh.
Wait, what happened? Because I say my height every time.
I would only say it if they ask for it.
Okay.
Which they ask for it more
a lot.
and more.
Name, height, and location. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Yes, I agree with the feedback thing because I think in the beginning it's really helpful if you're just starting out for your team. They might want to ask for feedback in general, even behind your own back, to be like, hey, how's this client? Like, what do you think of them? Because they have relationships with these casting directors, so they might just be getting. And then if that feedback gets back to you, then that's great. But I agree. They just have to come up with something and be like, she just wasn't right, So we talked about diving into fear and da-da-da. And I think that something clicks eventually in actors, whether it's how long you've been doing it, whether it's rose-colored glasses and you're young and you're just naturally being, bringing your special sauce to every role. But in your experience of working with so many actors, how long does it take for it to like click in where you get in that audition room? Not anymore. You get in front of your self-tape wall and you're like, I'm just doing these auditions and I'm bringing my special sauce every single time.
I can't give you a number. I can give you the more confident you are in what it is that you're doing. whether it, of course, being in class or being on set, right? Once you're working a lot, it's easy. You understand. Nobody's judging you. Everybody wants you to be the one. They want you to solve their problem. Every person. Beginning to trust yourself. Like I've seen it with certain actors, they don't trust themselves. And then once they do, boom. And some actors have that innately. They can just be like, I know what I'm doing. I'm good. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing exactly. I don't have the tools yet, but I understand these people and I know how to portray them. So confidence.
I agree. Confidence, because once you get some work under your belt too, and you're like, okay, I'm not doing this for no reason. Not saying that if you don't have work under your belt, but there's definitely an element of like, okay, I booked something. I booked this co-star, this guest star, whatever. Like, I'm in the right place. I had so much fun doing it. My team, I feel more comfortable reaching out to my team about things, and all of those things add to a more comfortable audition. So
you get a little bit of heat, a little something going.
Exactly. I remember exactly when that hit. Right when I booked my first thing, I was like, okay, I'm not terrible. After 300 auditions, I finally booked something, and
it feels good. There is nothing better than driving onto a lot or driving to a location. It's just makes you feel amazing.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's take a quick break from the show to talk about our sponsor, Mastermind Media. I've been shooting with Mastermind for a few years now, and I can truly say that they have covered all of my needs within the digital space. They create logos for me, graphic designs for my journal magic. Obviously, they produce the podcast, and it looks amazing. So I love working with them, and they're offering all of my listeners 15% off. So just shoot them an email and tell them that I sent you, and you'll get the discount. All of their information can be found in the show notes below. All right, guys, back to the show. So as far as auditioning, now that we're talking about that, what do you think about the audition process and memorizing lines? And, you know, you get your sides. What's the first thing that an actor should dive into?
Not memorizing.
Okay.
That's the worst, because it's just going to create, I tell my students, I got extra credit in 5th grade to memorize all of the presidents in order. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, Adams, Jackson, Van Buren, Harrison, Tyler, Polk. Right? I can do them all.
Okay.
Right? But not with any life.
Right.
Not with anything. I can't start at Polk. I've got to start at Washington. And that's what happens when people, it goes into a different part of the brain in terms of getting a groove. I don't want to watch somebody recite memorized lines. I want to watch somebody live. So memorization comes last. I want you to be word perfect, but I think if you worry about being word perfect, then you're just white knuckling it. You can see those actors when and I encourage people to watch auditions if you can, be on the other side of auditions, look them up on YouTube. Watching somebody who's got dead eyes because they've got a script in their mind and all that you can see them move and then switch the page and move up to, right? It's the worst. The first thing is to figure out, who am I as the character, right? Who am I? And then what is your motivation? What is the things that you need and you want, and the relationships with the other characters? I like to say an audition is like a sketch, and then the role is like a painting. So to kind of leave it a little bit fluid so that they can give you a note, so that there can be something. One of the last things that I did before I stopped acting, I did an episode of Cold Case. And in the audition, I killed it. I knew I killed it. There was a line that was a little, I kept switching it around every time. It wasn't on purpose. I wasn't changing it, but it just kept happening. So whatever. That's what happened. Then when I got my script, it said, we are a word perfect show. You are not allowed to change one word. And I did not. But I think if I had had that going into the audition, I would have been focused on that one line and not everything else that was happening in the scene.
Wow. Yes.
And so I think we always want it to seem improvised, as if the ideas are coming right from us. So it's this hard thing because we want to be good boys and girls. We want to do the lines and honor the writers, and yet we need to make it our own. And we need to make it seem as if we're bringing that character to life. And of course, a writer loves that, right? Where you look and you're like, oh, that was line perfect, so different than what everybody else did. So everybody else took a beat when it said take a beat, or right?
Yeah, and I think audition-wise, to your point, like on the script, it said we are a word perfect show, which I think is like, let's say there's 10 shows, like 3 of 10, right? That are like that, or maybe more. I don't know. But auditions, the casting director is the first one to watch the audition. And I've been on the other side of auditions, not for TV and film, for advertising, but still like for commercials. Since my boyfriend owns a commercial production company, he is often putting out casting notices for, iPhone or whatever. And they have to do a little scene. But my point is if there are words in it, we're not, we don't have the script in front of us going, okay,
Yes.
Did they say that? No, we don't even know if they missed a line. So I can imagine that a casting director, not the writer, who's watching your audition to just get you to the producers, has the sides in front of them going, okay, da-da-da. They're like entranced with you,
Right.
especially if you're flopping lines. We're not talking about improving a whole scene or anything like that.
No.
Yeah, I've definitely messed up lines and have booked off of it.
Right. But when you're really stressed about the lines, you don't book.
Totally.
I've never seen anybody do that.
Yeah. And something that I have found as of recent helping me memorize lines is understanding what is going on. And if it's good writing, your thoughts are going to be the actual lines. When you're reading with your friend, you're like, oh, I was going to say that anyways.
Right.
Because you understand what's going on. So
Doing a pass where you're just listening and responding.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, people, I'll ask, we're running a scene and I said, oh, what day is it? And, the person's like, oh, I forgot my line. And I'm like, you could just answer what day it is.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, again, not trusting. Not trusting that they're enough. And that just trusting themselves that they're going to be there and be present and be perfect. Everything that we're asked to do as actors, we already do perfectly. You fall in love, you have your heart broken. Maybe you don't actually murder anyone, but you want to sometimes. When I was younger, I didn't kill anybody. As I got older, I did a lot of murdering. But you already do it perfectly. It's just in the recreation of that as another character that we get into trouble.
and stage directions,
Ignore them.
Okay.
Well, and that doesn't mean not do them. It's because they're right as often as they're wrong. So if it tells you to take a beat in one place and you take it, but you haven't found for yourself why you're taking that beat, maybe what it is that I'm going to say to you is so hurtful, I'm trying to reframe it, and then I can't, right? So to just go to that beat without finding it, without standing or sitting just because it says to. No, figure out what you want. And then if the casting director, if the director, if they say, oh, can you take a beat there and can you sit on this line? And
Right.
then you say, of course I can.
Yes. Oh my God. This is so freeing to hear. Like anyone listening to this, it's just, get it in your bones and then, I hate to say it, but throw it away.
Yes. I think one of the things that I do the most is I just give people permission.
Yeah.
Permission to follow their own instinct and do what they want, And I can coach somebody up, but unless I'm on set with them, once you go into the room, it's your show. You got to do what you want, So you've got to take it, own it, empower it, understand that you are the actor. You're the expert at what it is you're doing. And in that moment, you're the expert on that character. And if they want that character a different way, they'll ask you for it if you're right for it.
Yeah.
If you're not right for it, they're not going to waste
This
your time.
is your version of the character.
Yes, it's your chance to get to act. And maybe you're not getting paid, but you're not paying somebody. I love my students. They pay me. I don't love them because they pay me, but that's how I make my money. But when you go in for casting, they're not charging you. This is your chance to act for free. But yet we always give it away because we want that job so badly. What do they want? What do they want? What do they want?
Oh my gosh. If every actor could drop that, it would be a dangerous thing because then everyone would be booking roles and it would be
Everybody be
competition.
feeling so good.
Yeah, and it makes it more fun because I've had the times where I am feeling way more loose and I'm like, oh, this is why I love doing this. I do commercial auditions a lot and it's a lot of improv. And I always walk out being like, that was so much fun because there are no, you know what I mean? They have
There's nothing for you to do wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And so if we could bring that into theatrical auditions and being like, I mean, I can guarantee you if we go back to every actor that's booked, let's just do series regulars, in-room auditions, I'm sure they walked in the room and they're like, hey, how's it going? All right, I'm going to grab the chair and bring it here. And they sit down and they go, okay, cool. You know what I mean? Like, just like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I have one of my girlfriends, Levin, who was in Hunger Games and she's been in a bunch of shows. I forget what show it was, but she had the casting director. She goes, can you come here? It was like, a director session at this point. And she was like grabbing her because she had to, she's like, I am not done talking to you, whatever the scene was. And she's grabbing her and she's leaning on, I'm sure she's gone in for her, 10 times. But still, like, imagine you're not a casting director going, that was weird, unless you don't, know that person ever, or you go up to her unannounced. But this is a director session. You're supposed to be playing. You're going like, that was a bold choice. Like, I liked that. And, the director's loving it. So
I remember a long time ago, I heard a casting director talking about some of the things not to do. And he was talking about a particular actress who straddled the other actor coming on to him in the audition. And everybody said, oh. And so I raised my hand. I was an actor then. And I said, so who booked the job? She booked the job.
oh my gosh.
Right? It was right for the character.
Make it make sense.
I mean, and of course, you've got to understand people's boundaries and not cross those. But still, if that's the role, but we always, well, maybe they don't want me to do that. Maybe I'm not supposed to do that. Oh, it's all in caps, so I certainly have to yell this.
Oh my God.
Right? Oh, it's underlined. I have to emphasize it. Oh, it's just the worst. Remember, those are written for the people who are reading the script.
Right, because
it's not the way to direct you.
The script is not just for the actors at all. It has been approved by network and studios. It's getting rewrites. The showrunner's looking at it. The producers, everyone. And it's for them. Let's call them Joe Schmoes. They're amazing, but they're not actors.
No.
So they need to comprehend what is going on in this creative story that has been written, because they might be really left brain and logistical, and so they need to read it. Wow, that makes so much sense.
They see two girls in the scene and they're chatting. Oh, they're best friends. And then it's, oh, let's put flirtatious. I didn't realize that maybe they were gay, maybe they were interested in it. Oh, okay. Right. But it doesn't mean that then the scene has to be flirtatious.
No, because two girls can have a conversation and be best friends, and there can be total fun chemistry that could also come off as romantic chemistry.
Right. You're excited for your next audition?
Yeah, I really am. I really am. I'm like, okay, all of these, I think this whole conversation so far has just pretty much been like, okay, you're free. You've been set free.
Glinda, the good witch. You've had the power all along.
Exactly. Now it's ignited for the rest of my career. And when you get on set, it's not as rigid as we make it in auditions to begin with. You're there to have fun. You do the scene 20 times. So hopefully you're not too, you should have the words in your bones and everything that's going on, but you got to be free because the director is there to direct you and give you notes.
And you can't be a frightened, timid person there unless, of course, that's your character. But no, that's your chance you're on set. You booked it. Usually it's so much easier then, too, because all that pressure of feeling judged is off for the most part.
Auditions are the hardest part of acting.
Yes.
In my opinion. Yeah.
Yes.
On set.
Have you ever auditioned for something that you know has been cast?
Not no.
Okay.
But I see something just came out of a celebrity that booked it, and I was like, what's the point?
But those auditions are great because you've got nothing to lose.
Right.
You're not trying to get the part anymore. Some of my auditions that I knew, they have an offer out to this person or this is happening. And then I could be so free. And I encourage my students to think about it that way. What would you do if you thought you had to fight for the role rather than have them just like you?
Right. Oh, two things just came into my mind. Okay, one is when you get an audition and you know, quote unquote, that you're not right for the role, and you're like, this is not me. Do you you audition for it, right? You don't pass.
I would audition for it.
I
yeah.
agree. I think I've passed on 2 things in my 12 years of auditioning.
If it's something, for instance, if there's nudity that you're not comfortable with, or if it's subject matter that you don't, then yeah, absolutely, that's not right for you. But they asked you to come in, so clearly they think there's a chance you might be right for it. So go in and have some fun. You know, I'm sure there's been times where they have taken my audition and given it to the actress who was right. You know, physically or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I know, like, what I did, no other actress did that. That was great.
Wow.
But, you know, high praise I give myself.
Yeah, as you should. We need it.
Right?
To survive.
Right? And on the other side of casting, a lot of times you do see that. Like, oh, let me see if I can tell somebody else to be able to try to do that. And you see, like, oh, no, that person's just got great natural timing. Other people can't quite pick that up.
So you have coached on set actors. I've always been so intrigued with that. I don't know the procedure for it. I don't know what that looks like. So can you explain a little bit about when you're on set on a TV show or a film coaching an actor?
It depends first who brought me on. So if I'm working just for the actor, I stay in the background a little bit more, work with the actor in their trailer in between, because I'm always respecting the director and it's their vision and they're the ones who are going to give notes to the actor. I might, if I'm brought on by a director, which I often am, then giving the notes to the director, and then they choose whether they want to pass the note on to the actor or they want me to do that.
Oh.
It's great fun. I love it. Although, you know, I don't have the power that I have, for instance, in my studio, or if I was the director. So sometimes I'm like, oh, that scene's, and then it's just, I gotta let it go. You know,
you can't be like, you're not like, can we do that one more time?
That's not my part.
Right.
No, not my job. But if something like, you know, I'll say, oh, I don't think they were really listening to that line, or I don't think that they, you know, they're not understanding this beat. And then they can decide whether or not to give that note, if it's worth it, or, you know, certainly if it's, you know, a master, I'll give the note knowing that we're going to be going in for coverage, and then that might be something that you might want to watch for on the coverage, right?
Yeah.
Are they being too available right away? Are they, what's happening with them? And I love working with the actors too, because when you look on a set, there's so many people on a set, and almost nobody is there for the acting.
Right.
Right?
Oh, no.
There's all the people that are necessary for wardrobe and for lights and for all of these things, but somebody just for the actor to run lines or bounce ideas. As filmmaking gets more and more complicated, I mean, certainly that was the director's job. The director has so much to do. Unbelievable the amount of work that a director has to do.
It is so crazy that you brought that up, because everyone's there for the actor, right? We're like, oh, let me tug at you, da-da-da-da-da. But the acting, no one. And also, I feel in my personal experience, I just shot a movie. And so I was #1 on that. So
fantastic.
That was really fun. I felt very comfortable in calling the shots in a way of like, hey, do you want to run lines? You know, do you want to, and everyone loved it and da-da-da. But on most of my TV stuff, I'm not. So in my experience, I get a little trepidatious if I'm like, do you want to run this? My point is the acting thing is all by myself the whole time. And like you said, great directors are so fun and they work with you as an actor and you guys run it and they talk to you about the scene, but they have so much going on, and they have the showrunner giving them notes, and you know, they have an agenda that they need to accomplish at the end of the day. And so it seems like a luxury to have an acting coach on to really be able to like play in between. It
really is. I think it's getting more and more common. It's certainly always been very common for minors for having underage, because they don't trust them to be able to act. And sometimes they can't. But for adults, it's becoming more and more the norm.
Really?
Certainly if the actor really wants that, or if the director. It just depends on what's happening. If it's somebody who maybe is not an established actor, but is established athlete or singer, something like that, so they know that person could use a little extra help and coaching.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Athletes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That are getting hired in all these movies. Oh my gosh, I feel like influencers, they probably need all the coaching on set.
Oftentimes, yes.
Have you done that? Have you coached an influencer?
I have.
Definitely for auditions, I'm sure you
For
have.
auditions, for part, it depends. It's just like almost any actor, right? There's the people who love the craft, they want to learn it, they care about it, and then there's the people who are like, I can just do this, I'm going to have it come to me. And those aren't the funnest to work with. You know, and a lot of it, I believe, comes from fear. They're afraid of being found out, about not being a good actor, about not whatever it is, it's fear. So they put up these defenses, right? I don't need it, I'm cool, I'm just going to be myself, which of course I want you to be yourself. I'm giving you permission and a way to approach it.
But there is an element of like getting deep into what this character is and what their tics are and all of those things.
Fun of it.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. Go grocery shopping as your character, right?
Yeah.
You know, make a playlist.
So let's talk a little bit about social media.
Okay.
So what do you think about the influx of everyone wanting to be an actor and influencers and all of it? Are you like, this is great? Are you seeing a lot of, I don't know if you follow, you know, Deadline and what's booking and what's not, but are you seeing a lot of influencers booking a lot of your actors' roles?
Not always.
What's your take on it?
Well, there's a big enough pie. There's room for everybody. The influencers who want to learn how to act and care about it are the same as any other person who said, oh, this is what I want to do. I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. The ones that don't have a work ethic and don't really care, they just want it to come easy, I don't think they'll survive, right? They're not going to be putting the work in, even if they're beautiful, even if they're handsome, whatever it is.
1 million followers.
Right. People aren't going to keep tuning in. We want to watch good actors. That's why I don't think we should be so afraid of AI. I think there's concerns, of course, but that vulnerability that real people and real actors bring, that's what we love to watch in TV, in movies. So the influencers who care, fantastic. The ones who don't care, good, go make your money, go hawk another product and whatever. But great for them. They've got another platform.
Totally. I love what you said. I couldn't agree more. Like, I know the grit that it takes to pursue this career. I have done it from the ground up since 16 years old, sending really embarrassing headshots in manila folders to LA from Orange County and never hearing back, going to the weird meetings in the alleys and the, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, I've done it all. And I've had a very slow, you know, path to becoming a working actor. And it is, the work ethic is insane. It really is. It is not saying no to any auditions or opportunities that feel right for you. It's, you know, showing up every single day, going to acting class and staying in touch with your agent and man. Just so many little things, getting headshots.
I cannot get the influencers to show up regularly to class. For the most part. I have some exceptions, and but for the most part, because they're kind of accustomed to doing what they want when they want.
Yeah.
But that's not what's going to happen when they're on set as well.
That's the other thing. I'm like, I don't think some people realize, and again, I love what you said, like if they're serious about it and they know and it's in their bones that they know what it takes, it's the same as anyone in Pennsylvania going, I want to become an actor today. It's the same thing. It's not, oh, you're an influencer, blah, blah, blah. They might get more opportunities because of their numbers, but at the end of the day, I'm not scared of it as a lot of my peers are, because I'm like, my work ethic is beyond what many people's are. And I know that because they've built such fascinating careers and made so much money and so much success, and it's not going to come as quick with acting. Right. So they're going to, drop off if they don't have that grit to take them all the way.
They'll just stay in their lane.
Yeah.
But the highway is wide enough for everybody.
Yeah. Interesting. And then the other thing that I get asked all the time is about networking. And I have my own opinion about it and take on it.
Oh, I want to hear.
You want to hear? Okay. So I speak a lot on my experience because, again, it is ground up. And so I kind of know that if you come from not knowing anyone, not having any mentors, not having any money, what it looks like to get to that point where you're auditioning regularly, you're booking regularly, you now only act for your job, And I've never networked. So my opinion is become really good with your team, your representation. You're going to have to fire a team. You're going to get dropped. You're going to have awkward conversations. You're going to get ghosted. You're going to ghost someone. Get right with who your agent and manager are, the trials and tribulations of that, and then nurture that. Once you find a team that you are feeling is working for you, it's kind of like dating, and be like, okay, am I keeping in touch with them? Am I sending them new shots? Do they know what I want to be auditioning for? Like, I was very specific. CW, Freeform at the time, Pretty Little Liars, Vampire Diaries. This is what I want. I want to be on a teen show. And they're like, we can do that eventually, right? I got dropped many times. I had to fire someone without even ever having worked in my life, which is terrifying because you're like, well, I'm signed.
Right.
And who am I to fire someone, But he wasn't paying attention to me. And, you have to make those decisions. So I feel like energy-wise, it's more productive to put it into like, am I getting out on these auditions so I can actually book roles in TV and film and do what I came here to do versus like going to a party and chatting with a producer or staying in touch with the casting director, because everyone's an actor and everyone's DMing them and emailing them. And to be honest, they're going to be nice and stuff, but it's like, why would they, even if you're beautiful and you're great and you're unique, why are they going to be like, you know what, I'm going to put you in this show or, give you an audition. They have 1,500 submissions.
Yep. And I feel exactly the same way. The networking, making friendships, if they're genuine, if you're meeting people that you like when you're out there, that's networking. That's making those connections, finding those people. Oh, you're a great DP. I'd love to, connect you with somebody else who's going to be shooting something. But I say that as well, nurturing that relationship with your team. Absolutely. Not bothering them, not, getting the break. Hey, did you submit me on this and this and this and this and this? Right? Way to drive them crazy, micromanage them. But like you said, to really be in touch and just say, oh, this casting director has brought me in for all of these projects, and I see that they're now casting this show, which I would love to be on. So just want to let you know that they're fans. Mm-hmm. And finding those connections and nurturing those maybe those agents or managers that have moved on, but you had a good relationship with. All right, let's see where they end up. Maybe, I wouldn't mind being represented by them again, perhaps if they come back around.
Yeah. Hey, it's been 5 years. I've grown.
Right.
Like, will you take,
And then having to let go of those people that aren't the right people for you, which can be heartbreaking, especially the people that believed in you at a time when nobody else did.
Mm-hmm. I feel like another question is, what can I be doing as an actor in the in-between time? And I feel like there's an answer where it's like, well, become your own person and have hobbies and things that you love doing.
Yes.
But also something that you just said before I forget was that create a doc that's like, I've gone in for these casting directors, because your agents, they're the ones that submit you. So they know you've gone in, but they don't do the math. They don't realize that you got a call back from them 3 times in the last 7 years. They're dealing with so much stuff. So organize that as best that you can and be like, like what you just said, hey, I've gone in for them 3 times and I got called back all 3 times. Isn't that crazy? Like, what are they up to? Let's hit them up. Or what are they casting? Or my agent just told me recently, because I've been working a lot the last 6 months, and she's like, put together a doc of all the directors you've worked with. Yeah, because I'm on different episodes of different TV shows, and it's a different director every single episode. If you didn't know that, whoever's listening, it's a different director every episode for a lot of episodic television, which means I've worked with 40 directors, you know, and that's a lot. And directors are one person that can put your name in a hat and go, I want to see that person.
Right. So when they see them on the breakdown for casting the next show, oh, didn't you work with them? Wasn't that a good experience? Absolutely.
Exactly. Rather than it just being like fly by, because there's so many names in there when the breakdowns come through. It's like executive producer, director, this, that, the other. So if you flag it to your agent or manager and be like, hey, take a look out for Patty Smith. I just worked with her on Stranger Things and she loved me. We really connected. Yeah, I love that. Yes. Those are little ways that we can work for ourselves.
Right. And just practice. One of the I suggest if somebody's not auditioning a lot, put yourself on tape. Do a self-tape 3 times a week, right? So when you do get that one, you're not freaked out, and it's not has to be so precious, and you've got to work every line, and you hire me, and we do 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Coaching that doesn't change it. Right? Just get used to it. Just practice. You know, when you're working, it's easy. You're on set. You're like, oh, here I am. If you're on a series, if you're on a soap, if you're doing a play, you're kind of warmed up. And so doing your own self-tapes is just staying warm. Nobody has to see it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe you could take some risks and go, oh, look at that. When I let go a little bit, when I really take the moment to create my imaginary wall, my audition gets so much more lively.
And self-taping is an art.
Yes.
That we all have to master, unfortunately.
Yes.
Or fortunately, whatever. I mean, I enjoy it. I book more off self-tapes.
And they see so many more people now than they ever have.
And you can live anywhere.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Yes.
The other thing about that is you can get good at the technical side of taping. So like maybe when you're practicing 3 times a week, you know, you lean in for something and you're like, oh my God, I love the way that just looked. Like I was off camera, or I reached for her and that looked really cool. Like usually I would be so stagnant, and it brings life to what's going on in the world around your little taping quarters.
Right. The camera's a window into it rather than, you know, just catching you.
Right.
So, right. Oh, you caught me, you know. Usually when an actor comes out of it and says, oh, I'm sorry, it was so good. Right? Because all of a sudden something real happened, it freaked them out, and they're like, oh, sorry, right? They forgot their line. It's okay. Forget it. We'll come back to it. It'll come back. Or otherwise, take 2. But this perfectionism is just death of an actor, because we don't like perfect people. That all great characters are flawed and imperfect, as are we. So give yourself the grace of showing up in a realistic way. I guess unless you're playing a robot.
But in real life too, like as people, if you have a friend that's a perfectionist and always doing everything perfect, we don't like them. Like they're annoying.
No.
So it's like we're
trying to help them get rid of that.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk a little bit about outside of acting. Yeah, what do you think are some important things for actors to think about when they're not acting? Like how can they stay as a whole human being with hobbies or jobs or...
Yeah, well,
it's such a struggle.
I would think I was just listening to one of your episodes where you were talking about this idea of people like, I've given up my day job, I'm all in. Like, that's terrible. And now you're going to be desperate before you know it. Of course, if you get let go from your work, but I think having a job, even if you don't love it, that keeps you busy and interacting. I know people where I'm like, well, you probably meet people who could get you jobs all the time at your work. Do you ever tell them you're an actor? Or are you like secret closeted actor who nobody knows? Anything that you want to do, the great thing is you as an actor are going to be playing real living human beings. So going out and living a life, not being so insular, right? So if you want to go horseback riding, if you want to pick up any hobbies, if you want to check out, like, let's learn a foreign language, anything that's interesting and inspiring to you, reading books, watching television, watching films. I'm always shocked sometimes how many actors haven't seen so many classic films, and not to shame them because they've got a lot on their plate, but something that they can do and watch great actors.
Yeah. I always feel inspired after watching like one film. I'm like, oh, I'm back in it, guys. I'm
Right.
here. Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Have you read The Artist's Way?
Yes.
I'm sure.
It's fantastic.
I did the Artist's Way workbook. Artist's Way is a book by Julia Cameron, and it changed my life because I did the workbook and I took myself on artist dates and I went on walks in nature by myself and with headphones, without headphones, listened, learned, was curious, inspected, look at people's behaviors, like getting out of your own way, out of your phone. And I feel like these sound so simple, but these are the things where it's like when I get on a mentorship call and they're like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm not getting auditions. I have this team that they're not really sending me out. And I just feel like a fraction of a person. And I'm
for
like,
a bike ride.
Exactly. Simple. But do you ever get home from a bike ride and go, well, that was terrible? No, you're like, oh, that filled me up for a little bit. And I feel inspired. When I'm on a walk, I can't wait to get home because I have all these ideas. I have to like keep myself walking. I'm like, no, stay with it. You've only been out here 10 minutes. But I'm like wanting to jot down all these new creative ideas I have. And that's no mistake. There's science behind going on a nature walk and feeling just an influx of creative ideas from
not sitting at home ruminating on what other people are doing, being on your Instagram, scrolling, going, oh, she booked something else. They booked something else. Oh, no, right? No. Great for them. You know?
I posted on my story today. I said, because I was doom scrolling for like 30 minutes and I don't follow any of the Kardashians or anything.
I do Screen Zen. I highly recommend it.
What is it?
It's called Screen Zen. It's an app that lets you limit your amount of time on social media, and you can set it whatever you want.
Ooh.
Five times a day for a half hour, 5 times a day for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Twice a day for, you get to set it. And you can even override it if you need to. I'm always in the middle of a post when it's like, your time's up. Oh,
you're like,
I'm like, I don't want to use my next 10-minute slot. My husband will talk to me. I'm like, I'm in my 10 minutes. Leave me alone.
That's great. I'm going to use that. I can't.
You were talking about your.
Oh yeah, I don't follow any of like the Kardashians or anything like that, just for my own sanity. No, I respect them. I'll get, lost in it all. And so today I posted and I said, "What's the point?" I'm like, another Kardashian started another business, and I'm like looking at it, and it's just beautifully branded. And it already has 1 million followers, like the drink that they created's account or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just going to take all my liquid assets and move to a farm and quit. And then the next post was like, just kidding, still going to pursue all my dreams. But it's hard. You see all of it and you're like, well, this actress I just looked at a deadline last night of an actress who booked a role that I didn't audition for, but I tested for the show. And she was exactly my type. And it was for a recurring on the same show that I tested for last year. And I was like, why didn't I go out for this? She has 2 million followers and I didn't even go out for it. And so I'm saying that I was working all year. And so I'm wondering if it was shot at the same time. But I'm like,
probably.
These types of things, it makes you go question yourself. And it's not true. It's just life. It's happening no matter what. It's almost just like.
And I think looking at the world as a place of abundance, that there's plenty of room, that they can have all of the lifestyle brands that they want and everybody, and there's always room for more. The pie just keeps getting bigger.
Yeah.
And it's easier to see that when at least some things are happening for you, but for the actor when nothing's happening. And, I tell my students, for the most part, some of you will be in my office at some point crying and just saying, I don't know why I didn't get this one. It hurts more the closer you get, which is ironic.
So ironic.
Because you're so close. But then it's like, well, I didn't get it just as much as the girl who didn't even get called in didn't get it. And it's like, true, but not true,
Yeah.
right? You have made those connections. I once had a director, Bob Balaban, fantastic, who wrote me a note when I wasn't cast in something because he had been an actor.
Wow.
He's still an actor. And I have that. It's probably 30, 35 years old now at this point. But just such a lovely, heartfelt letter about how he wished he could have hired me. And the actress that they hired was great. There was nothing about disparaging about her. You know, he just didn't. I got the feeling he didn't win the toss on that one.
Yeah.
You know?
Clearly he
and
loved
that the
you.
actress that they got was good. He wasn't, but those things holds me on for those ones where I didn't hear.
Yeah.
But I still knew I did a great job.
It's so easy. I mean, a letter is so sweet, but I feel like there's this disconnection between, a casting director or a showrunner or something, and the actor. Because why can't I had something happen recently to me where, I got downgraded, we'll call it, and no one called me. It was like literally business affairs called my team, and it's like, just call me. Hey, the studio cut our episode count and the funding isn't there and this, that. We love you. You did great in this season. Whatever. Zero. Nothing. Cold. And I took it way more personally than I needed to. That's a fact. Learning lesson. Great learning lesson. I'll never do it again. But I'm human and it hurt. It really hurt because as actors, it's our livelihood and, we
Take it personally.
Yeah. So it's just a phone call but
And of course, when you're in that position, hopefully you'll be able to make that phone call, but also understanding that maybe there was a lot going on with all of those people. Maybe one person thought that somebody else had called and let you know. It might be one of those situations.
Exactly. No, which is the learning lesson of it all.
Right.
It's like, it really isn't personal, like they're so busy. And I think as actors, we do think it's all about us. Something I've learned with my boyfriend owning a production company is, oh my God, there's so much going on. And the actor gets to set and they go, good morning, happy day one. And it's like, oh, it's day 17 for us. We've been in pre-production this whole time. And so it really has opened my eyes and been like, okay, I'm here for my job. I'm going to be kind to everyone. And, hopefully you get those godsends that are like, hey, you're really special and we love what you bring to the project.
I'm going to be reaching out to a lot of the actresses who read for our part because there were so many fantastic actresses who came in. And it's like, but one person's going to get it.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, it holds you over, for those other jobs that.
Like, oh, I know I did a good job.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Exactly. And we're not saying like for everything you audition for, you don't hear anything. That's normal. But there are those ones you get close to and you're like, damn, I really connected with that role. Or in the session, I connected with the director. Like we had so much fun going back and forth. And then boom, you never speak to them again.
I've gotten hugs.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Come here, Shannon. Big hug. And like, what happened?
Yeah. And then I don't know if as an actor, like, this is actually a good question. Like, am I supposed to reach out? Because I don't know, right?
No, you got to let it go.
You got to let it go. Even the ones that you get really close on.
You got to let it go.
Yeah.
You got to go, wow, that was really fun. I'm really glad they liked me that much. And I liked what I did. And I feel good about it. I love reading I actually love listening to actor memoirs. So I think you can always, be listening to those, and even those actors that you love, all of the parts that they almost lost or that they did lose, and somebody else got the part. And
do you have a favorite or a couple that you can recommend?
yes, I have so many. I loved Simu Liu's book, We Were Dreamers.
Oh,
That is fantastic.
that's probably new.
pretty new.
Yeah.
These are just off the top of my head. Bob Odenkirk's.
Okay.
I think it's comedy, drama, or maybe it's drama, comedy, drama.
Something like that.
Just finished one. Well, it's not an actor memoir, but Ed Zwick's book is fantastic and about filmmaking And he talks a lot about actors and performances and working with people, and it's great.
Okay.
Those are the ones off the top of my head that I just... Viola Davis's book was fantastic.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to do Simu's and hers first.
Yeah, those are great.
Okay. It's so inspiring. You hear it and you're like, okay, I'm not alone. These amazing people have gone through the exact same moments. It's almost like a rite of passage. You're like, great, I'm doing everything right because they went through the same thing.
Right. I've been rejected. I've been fired. I've been...
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever. It's like, oh, okay, that's par for the course.
Jenna Fisher's is really good too.
Yes, I was going to say that one
The
as
Actor's
well.
Life. Yeah, her story's cool. After 10 years of The Office and she got recast on Man with a Plan.
Yeah.
Like, I would be heartbroken. How can you not take that personal? But you also look at it and you're like, it's not. You're just...
The chemistry wasn't there.
Yeah, and it was Joey and Pam or whatever they said. It was like Joey from Friends and Pam from The Office. You couldn't unsee it. It's nothing to do with her.
Right. No, her book was fantastic. Oh, so many good books.
So many good ones, I know. See, even after this conversation, I feel inspired, and I hope the listener does, which I know they do, to go out and either... Like, my whole point in this podcast is for someone to listen to this and then go out and take an action on a little step closer to fulfilling their dreams, to fulfilling their heart, their soul, whatever, to get them motivated and inspired. And I know that this episode did that. And reading one of these books or going on a walk or going on a horseback ride, something. But yeah, Shannon, I think that's all we have for today.
It's such a pleasure to meet you and get to know you.
You
and
as well.
I love what you're doing. What a
you.
wonderful community that you've built.
Yeah, and you as well. So tell us about your studio and where everyone can find you.
You can find me on YouTube at Speiser Sturges and Instagram, and my studio is Speiser Sturges Acting Studio. I'm the Sturges.
Great, and
I'd love
that's
to
here in
see
LA.
anybody. Yes.
Okay.
We're right on La Cienega.
I can't wait to come check you out.
Please do.
Yeah.
I would love it. Love it. Bring Priscilla.
Yes. And everything will be in the show notes for you guys to click on. All right, thanks, Shannon.
Thank you.